Welcome to today's technical drawing class. Today we are going to look into interpenetration of solids or intersection of solids. So here's the question. Below are two intersecting solids or two intersecting cylinders of unequal diameter. Draw the interpenetration curve. So these are the two intersecting cylinders and they have unequal diameter. So I would like to explain this so that you understand how it's working. So let me use these two objects, these two instruments to show you how um how this interpenetration works. So let's imagine you have a big diameter, a big cylinder. So this is a big cylinder, it has a circle here. We're going to take this as a big cylinder. We're going to take this one as another cylinder. So imagine we have these two joined together. This small one enters into this big one. So if we are looking at it orthographically, like in orthographic projection, if we are looking at it from this side, this is our side view. So this side looks like a circle, which is what we have here. And then on top, we have this curved part here. But because we're looking at it directly, it's going to look like a square. We can only see this part of the cylinder. We cannot see anywhere behind. We can never see it because it is from this side we are looking at it from. So this cylinder on top, this part that we can see here, is this thing here that looks like a square on top this circle. So that's how this one looks like. Then if I turn it like this, what we can see what we can see is also another cylinder, except this time it looks like a rectangle. From the way we are seeing it, this side looks like a rectangle. Then also on top, you will see this part also. This part, you can only see this part, but you can't see the one behind it. You can't see this part behind it. And even though it's a curved, when we're looking at it directly, it looks like a square. So this side here is this rectangular part here, and this one on top is this bump that the rectangle has on top. So our job is to draw the curve this cylinder makes when it enters, when it penetrates this other cylinder. We're going to draw how it will look like when the two of them connect together. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw these two on my drawing paper. So let me start with this one here first. The length of the rectangle is 100 millimeters. So let me draw a line. Then on this line, I'm going to measure 100 millimeters. Okay. Then from these 2 points, I'm going to draw lines up. Two lines like this upwards. Okay. So the length of this point here is the same as the diameter of this circle. The length of from here to here, which is from here to here, is the same as the diameter of this circle, which from this diagram we can see it has 66 millimeters. So I'm going to measure 66 millimeters. So I'm going to join this point and this point together. I'll later come and do this bump here. Okay. The distance from here to the middle of this bump here, the middle of this place, this block here, distance from here to the middle of this block is 50 millimeters. So I'm going to measure 50 millimeters. Mark it. Okay. The length of this block is the same thing as the length of here to here. Length of from here to here is the same thing as the length of from here to here, which is 54. So this point here is this point here, which means that if I want to get the length here, the total length here is 54. So the length here will also be 54. From 54, that's 27 here, 27 here. So that will be 27 here, 27 here. Mm. So the length of from here to here is like the same thing as the length of from here to here. So the distance, this side are on the same height. From here, this height and this height are the same thing. So if the length of from here to here is the same thing as the diameter of this circle, which means that from the middle of this circle to the highest point here is 50. Which means from the middle of this line to this highest point will be 50 millimeters. First of all, we'll get the middle of this line. So the middle of this line is, since this is 66 millimeters, the middle is 33 millimeters. So once I've gotten the middle, the length of from here to this point is 50 millimeters. Then I'll measure these 2 points. The length of from here to here is 17 millimeters, 1.7 centimeters. So when I draw these two lines up, I'm going to measure 17 millimeters on them. Okay, so I want to measure the distance from here to here. The distance from here to here, we already said that it was 17 millimeters when we got this point. I'm going to measure 17 millimeters here and 17 millimeters here. Okay. Then I'll join them together. Next, I'm going to erase out this inside part. Okay. The next thing I'm going to draw is this circle. The diameter of the circle was really given to be 66 millimeters. The distance from this object here to this one here, they did not really tell us, so we can choose any side, any distance we want. So the first thing I want to do before I draw the circle is I want to get the midpoint of this block. I've already gotten it before as 33 millimeters. So I want to draw an axis through it so that I can draw my circle and they will be on the same line. So I've gotten here as 33 millimeters. Let me get the middle of this side so I can draw a line through the two of them. So we've gotten this line. So from we can choose any distance we want to start our circle. Draw the circle here. We need to get the diameter is 66 millimeters, but the radius is 33. So from here to here is also 33 because it's the same circle, it's the same it's the same length. So we can get the radius by using our compass. We put it here, and we extend it all the way to this point here. We can do it here, we can do it here, we can do it on this side. You can also choose to do it on the ruler, however you please. I'll give a certain distance from the block, and then I'm going to draw my circle. Okay, this is the midpoint here. The next thing to do is to get this block on top of the circle. So the first thing we notice is that the distance from here to here is 50. So I'm going to use my set square. And on this line, I'm going to draw the line from here upwards. So we've gotten this side of the line now. The next one is to measure 50 millimeters on it. After that, the distance from here to here is 54, which is also the same thing as the distance from this point here to somewhere else inside the circle. So I'm going to measure a distance of 54 from here to somewhere here. And I'm going to draw that line up. Now from this point, I'm going to draw a line up like this. This side here is thin line. They should not be able to see it because it's only this side of the drawing that we need. Next, I'm going to measure 50 millimeters on this line. And after that, I'm going to join these 2 points together. Okay, so now we have the diagram. We have the diagram now. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to draw a semicircle on top of these two places. We're going to draw a semicircle here and a semicircle here. Using our compass, we're going to find the middle of this line. The middle of this line is 27. That's 54 divided by 2. So I'm going to mark 27. Then using my compass, I'm going to put it here, take it to the edge here. I'm going to draw my semicircle. Same thing on this side. This side here is also 54. So the middle is 27. And using my compass, I'm going to extend it to this end. I'm going to draw a semicircle. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide these semicircles into six equal parts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a straight line to meet this from this midpoint here. From these midpoints, I'm going to draw a straight line to meet this semicircle on top. Once I've gotten these points, I'm going to put my compass here and with the same radius I used to draw this, I'm going to put my compass on this end and I'm going to mark an arc. I'm going to put my compass at where this line touches the semicircle. I'm going to mark an arc here, mark another here. And then at this point, at the other edge, I'm going to mark an arc. So if we count it, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's six equal parts. The same thing here. With the same radius, I'm going to come to the edge, mark an arc. I'm going to come to the middle, where the middle line touches the semicircle. Mark one here, mark one here. Then I'm going to come to this other edge and mark an arc. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to label them, the points. So here is going to be three. Let's start from three. 3, 2, 1, 0, and 1, 2, 3. Then on this side, because the view changed, so I'm going to start with 0 here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 0. From this point now, this semicircle and the points here are to kind of represent the points on the cylinder. So from this point, it's going to help us get the curve of intersection. The next we're going to do is we're going to, from these lines, from this point, we're going to draw straight lines down. These lines are going to touch the arc. It's not going to pass the arc, it's just going to touch the arc. And then also from this point, we're going to draw these lines down to meet, to cross through this center line. So, okay, let me also extend this middle line to touch the circle. Then also on this side, I'm going to draw these lines down. I'm also going to draw this number 3 line down. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw from this point where these lines meet the circle. I'm going to draw them straight like this through this diagram to meet these lines. So, which one do I draw? So, okay. Okay, so I have all the lines from this side projected onto this side. So we're going to first start with the first half of the intersection. So we're going to go from zero, we're going to go from 0 to 3 and back. Since we've drawn the lines this way, we're going to start with the first half of the intersection. So I'm going to move from 0 to 3 and back. So we're coming first from line 0. From line 0 to where line 0 meets, we're going to mark that. From line 1 to where it meets 1, we're going to mark that. And also where it meets 1, we're going to mark that. From line 2 to where it meets 2, and also to where it meets 2. Then from line 3 to where it meets 3, and here too. So this is our first curve of intersection. You use a French curve to get this one out. And I have you use a French curve to mark out these points. So this is the first curve of intersection. You're going to use a French curve to mark out these points. So something like this. So for the next side, so for the second part, we're going to move from 3 to 0 and back to 3. Or basically, we're just going to count out all these parts. So from line 3, okay, we've done 3 before. Line 2, from this line here, the way it meets 2 and 2. Line 1, from this point to where it meets 1, 1. And then 0, from 0 to where it meets 0. And, yeah. So we've gotten our second curve of intersection. We are also going to use our French curve to get these points out. So we are done here. So this is the curve of intersection of the two cylinders. The next thing to do now is to dimension the work, this block and the circle. I'm going to do this one here. No. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment and share with your friends.